The spaceship Valiant floated quietly above the dark alien planet. Below them was silence. The crew looked out from their windows. There were no lights, no cities, no signs of life, just shadows and black sky. It was like the planet had died. In one night, Captain Reyna stood on the bridge of the ship, watching the dark world below. Her face was calm, but her mind was full of questions. "They called for help," she said quietly. "But now, there's nothing." The signal they had followed was coming from this planet. It was a broken message, full of fear. But now that they were here, the planet seemed completely empty. The team prepared to land. 5 members went down with the captain. 2 scientists, 1 soldier, 1 medic, and the ship's engineer. As the shuttle landed, dust rose in the air. The sky above was strange. It looked cracked, as if something had burned through it. They stepped out in full suits. The air was cold and dry. Buildings stood nearby, but they were broken. Walls had fallen, metal was twisted. It looked like there had been a war, but no signs of weapons. Only strange black marks on the ground like shadows burned into stone. As they moved through the silent streets, they saw things that made them stop. A playground with toys still moving in the wind. A food shop with meals still on the tables, now cold and dry. It was like everyone had left in 1 second. No screams, no blood, just silence. Dr. Kira, the lead scientist, found something on a wall. It was a symbol, a large black circle with lines around it like a sun, but broken. Under it were words written in the alien language. "It's a warning," she said. "I've seen this in old alien data. It means do not enter." The crew kept moving. They reached a tall building in the center of the city. Inside it was even quieter. No machines were working. But in one room, the lights turned on by themselves. On a screen, an alien face appeared. It was a recording. The alien looked tired and scared. "If anyone sees this," the alien said in a weak voice, "you must leave now. We tried to stop it. We failed. It comes in the silence. It eats light. It sees fear. If you are afraid, it will find you." The recording ended. The crew looked at each other. No one spoke. Then the soldier Harris said, "What did they mean by it?" Captain Reyna opened her mouth to speak, but before she could, a strange sound echoed through the building. A deep, low hum, like something large moving far away. Then a scream came through the radio. It was from the shuttle. One of the guards left outside was calling for help, but the voice cut out quickly. The team ran back. When they reached the shuttle, the door was open. One of the guards was gone. The other was shaking, pointing at the sky. "It came from nowhere," he said. "There was nothing there, and then it was here." The captain checked the ship's systems. The signal they had followed, the original call for help, was now playing again. But this time it wasn't coming from the planet. It was coming from their own ship, the Valiant, still in orbit above. Back on board the Valiant, strange things started happening. Lights flickered. The AI voice said it was detecting movement inside the ship, but there was nothing on the cameras. Crew members started hearing whispers in the dark. One officer said he heard his mother's voice. Another said he saw a shadow standing in the hallway, watching him. Captain Reyna knew something was very wrong. She gave the order. No one goes anywhere alone. But even with that, 2 more people vanished in 1 hour. Their rooms were empty, no signs of a fight, just that same black mark on the floor where they had stood. Then something strange happened. In the middle of the night, the ship's doors locked. Every door. The AI said, "Security lockdown activated." But no one had given the command. Captain Reyna ran to the bridge. On the screen, she saw a new message. It was a voice. Her voice. But she had never said these words. "We brought it with us. We didn't come to help. We came to feed it." Reyna stared at the screen. Her voice, but not her words. The crew stood around her, all silent now. Fear was growing inside them. They felt it. The same feeling the aliens must have felt before they disappeared. And then the whisper came again, close to her ear. "You brought it here." No one knew what it was, no one could see it, but it was already inside. And it was watching. The crew of the Valiant stayed close together now. Fear was in everyone's eyes. No one wanted to admit it, but they all knew. Something was hunting them, and it was already inside the ship. Engineer Milo tried to open them doors manually, but they wouldn't move. "They're not locked by the system," he said. "Something is holding them shut." He looked confused. "Like, from the other side." Captain Reyna ordered everyone to meet in the control room. "We stay together. No one moves alone," she said firmly. "We need to understand what we're dealing with." Dr. Kira replayed the alien's last message. They listened again to the voice warning them. "It sees fear, it eats light. If you are afraid, it will find you." Kira looked around at the crew. "I think it doesn't need a body. It's not a creature in the way we know. It lives in energy, in thoughts, in fear." Soldier Harris shook his head. "Then how do we fight that?" No one had an answer. Suddenly the lights on the ship went out. Every single one. The room turned dark. Emergency red lights turned. On a few seconds later, but by then, someone was already missing. It was Eli, the medic. His seat was empty. No one had seen him leave. They searched the ship. No trace of Eli. But in the hallway near the med bay, they found another black mark on the floor. This one looked like a handprint, burned into the metal. Reyna clenched her fists. "We didn't come this far to die like this," she said. They decided to make a plan. If the thing fed on fear, then maybe they could trick it. They would. Act calm. Control their thoughts. And they would try to find the original source, the place where the signal had started. Back on the alien planet, the team returned to the city. They followed broken power lines deep underground. Below the city was a strange place. A lab, hidden and sealed. The door was broken open. From the inside. Inside the lab were metal. Tanks and machines now destroyed. On the wall they found another message in alien writing. This time the translator read it slowly. "Project Silence. Control the void. Make fear a weapon." Dr. Kira stared at it in shock. "They made it," she said. "It wasn't natural, it was created. A weapon made from fear itself." That's when the truth hit them. The aliens had not asked for help. They had called out a warning, a final message to keep others away. But the humans didn't listen. As they turned to leave the lab, the red lights inside began to flicker. A low, deep sound echoed around them, like something breathing. But there's no one there. Then, in the shadows, they saw it. A shape, not solid, not smoke, and something in between. It moved without sound. It had no eyes, no face, no form, but it felt alive, and it was coming toward them. Captain Reyna raised her weapon, but it passed through the shape like air. It didn't attack. It only came closer, and as it did, each crew member felt memories rush back into their heads. Bad memories, pain, loss, fear. The shape fed on that. Harris screamed and fired his gun. The light from the shot lit up the shadow just for a second, and in that moment they saw something. Not one creature, but many. Faces, hands, screams. It was not one being. It was made of many fears, many minds. Everyone it had touched was still inside it. The crew ran. They reached the shuttle and launched it fast, flying back to the Valiant. But as they rose into space, they looked back at the planet. The black sky seemed to move. The stars disappeared, like something was rising out of the planet's core. Back on the Valiant, they tried to send a message to Earth, but the systems went dead again. A new sound came through the speakers, the same whispering voice, but this time it spoke clearly. "You came to help. Now you will stay." The crew stood in silence. Captain Reyna looked out at the stars, now covered in shadow. "This isn't over," she said, and somewhere deep inside the ship, a shadow moved again. Quiet, watching, waiting. The crew of the Valiant was quiet. No one spoke. The fear was growing. Lights on the ship flickered on and off. Strange sounds echoed through the walls, like footsteps, but slow and heavy. Something was moving inside the ship, but no one could see it. Captain Reyna stood in the command center. She looked tired but strong. "We need to understand what we're facing," she said. "If we don't, it will destroy us all." Dr. Kira had been studying the alien lab recordings from the planet. The one video showed a young alien scientist. He looked nervous. "This was never meant to be used," the alien said. "We tried to control fear itself, but it broke free. Now it hunts anything that feels." He paused, then looked into the camera. "Don't try to fight it. Don't even look for it. Just run." Reyna watched the video carefully. "They created it," she said. "They made fear into a weapon, and now it's hunting everything." Down in the lower levels of the ship, Engineer Milo worked with Harris, the soldier. They were checking the power systems, trying to stop the lights from going out again. "It's not a power problem," Milo said. "The system is working. Something else is turning the lights off." Harris kept looking over his shoulder. "I feel like we're being watched." Suddenly the lights shut off. Total darkness. Harris raised his flashlight. For 1 second, a shape moved across the hallway. It was tall, thin, like a shadow walking upright. They chased after it. But the hallway turned cold. Their radios stopped working. A strange hum filled the air, and the walls began to shake slightly, like the ship was breathing. On the bridge, the ship's AI spoke. "Warning. Presence detected in secure areas. Life signs unknown." The crew gathered together. Dr. Kira had an idea. "If this thing feeds on fear, then we can't show fear. We need to stay calm, clear, like a machine." Milo added, "Or maybe we can trap it. Give it something to feed on. Then close it in." Reyna agreed. "We need a plan. It's not just hunting us, it's playing with us." They built a decoy room full of old memories, sound recordings, and lights that showed human emotions. It was like a trap made from sadness and fear. They called it the bait room. As they waited, the temperature on the ship dropped. Ice formed on some walls. Then came the whispers, not loud. Soft, almost like a breeze. The whispers said their names, one by one. Then the lights in the bait room turned off. Everyone rushed to the control screen. The cameras showed a black shape inside. It moved like smoke in water. Slowly, it passed through walls. And then it stopped. It was listening. Suddenly, all systems went dark. The ship began to shake. Alarms turned on and off by themselves. Then, without warning, the shape left the bait room and headed for the engine room. Captain Reyna ran with Harris and Milo. They reached the engine room and saw the shadow. It stood near the main power core, but this time, it changed shape. It looked like a person. Reyna stared in shock. The shape now had her face. It smiled. She stepped back. "You're not me," the shadow replied in her voice. "I am what's inside you. I am the peace you hide. I am your fear." Then the shadow screamed, not loud but deep. It shook the whole ship. Kira activated the sound trap. Loud, painful frequencies made to push the creature back. The shadow screamed again and started to break apart. The sound hurt it. Milo shouted, "It's working!" But then the ship's AI said something strange. "Multiple life forms detected. 9, 10, 11. Everyone froze. It wasn't just one shadow. There were many. The Valiant had become a home for them. Dr. Kira looked at the screen and saw multiple shadows moving across the ship. One in the bridge, one in the medical room, 2 in the cargo hold. They were everywhere. Reyna gave the order. "Evacuate. We're not safe here." But the escape pods didn't launch. The system said, "Manual override required." Someone had locked them inside. Reyna turned to the others. "This isn't just a monster. It's inside the ship. It's learning from us." Then the screen lit up with words written by the AI. "You brought us across the stars. We were trapped. You set us free," Kira whispered. "When we came to the planet, we didn't just find them. We brought them back. Now they were no longer just visitors on a dead planet. They had become carriers of the dark, and the shadows were spreading." Captain Reyna looked at her crew and said one word, "War." And far out in space, something else answered. A signal. A reply, not from Earth, but from somewhere else. Something had heard them, and it was coming. The crew of the Valiant was no longer just scared. They were trapped. Shadows were moving through their ship like smoke. The escape pods were locked, their weapons didn't work. Fear was everywhere, and the enemy was inside their minds. Captain Reyna stood on the bridge, staring at the screen. A signal had just arrived. Not from Earth. Not from the alien planet. From somewhere deep in space, a place marked unknown. The message was short. Just one sentence. Do not respond, it hears signals. Dr. Kira leaned closer. This is a warning, she said. Someone else has faced this before. And they lost. Reyna nodded slowly. But someone is still out there, still alive. That means there's hope. Below deck, Milo and Harris were trying to restore control of the ship. The AI was glitching. It repeated strange words over and, "For darkness, hunger, we remember, we return." Milo whispered, "It's like they're using the ship's systems now. Like it's speaking for them." Harris held his weapon tightly. "Then we shut it down, all of it." But when they reached the AI core, they found something terrifying. The core wasn't just damaged. It had changed. The wires were moving, twisting like vines. Black lines ran across the walls, pulsing slowly. Like veins. "It's alive," Milo said, stepping back. Harris raised his gun. "Then we kill it." Before he could shoot, the walls around them turned black. A shadow passed through the room. Fast, cold, like wind in a tunnel. The lights flickered, then died. When the lights came back on, Harris was gone. Only his weapon remained lying on the floor. Milo shouted for help, but no one came. On the bridge, Reyna and Kira were trying to trace the signal. It had strange data, like a map hidden inside it. The signal pointed toward a forgotten part of the galaxy, far from Earth. A dead zone, a place no one had explored for hundreds of years. "This could be where it came from," Kira said. "Maybe the original source, or maybe someone who escaped it." Who? Reyna made a choice. "We follow the signal, it's our only lead." The crew used emergency power to reroute the engines. As they prepared for jump, Milo returned, alone, pale, shaking. "It's changing," he said. "The ship, the crew, me." Kira scanned him. His body temperature was cold. His heart rate was slow. Too slow. Reyna stepped back. "Milo, what happened down there?" Milo looked up, eyes wide. "They don't kill us. They use us. They take our minds, our fears, they wear us like clothes." He wasn't Milo anymore. He smiled, and it wasn't human. The lights went out again. Emergency red came on. Milo was gone. In his place, a black mark on the floor. A shape, like a doorway. The ship jumped to the signal's location. When they arrived, everything was dark. No stars. No planets. Only one small object floating in space. A station. It was broken, quiet, and old. But a weak light blinked on its side. They docked the Valiant and sent a team over. The air inside the station was dry, empty. But messages were scratched into the walls. One message read, "We built the prison. It broke." Another, "If you're reading this, turn back." Inside the main control room, they found something strange. A large sphere made of metal and light, locked in a glass chamber. Around it were burned alien bodies, long dead. Kira scanned it. "This is a storage unit, not for data, for something else." Suddenly, the sphere spoke. A voice filled the room, calm, deep. "I am what they made to hold the darkness. I am what broke, and now it knows you." Reyna stepped forward. "How do we stop it?" the voice replied. "You can't. You opened the door." Then the lights inside the station turned red. A signal burst from the sphere. Loud, fast, full of pain. Back on the Valiant, the shadows screamed. All of them. The ship shook. Something was happening. The AI voice on the Valiant said, "Warning. External energy is activating hidden systems." Dr. Kira looked at Reyna. "I think this station is calling something." Outside, the stars changed. Shapes moved in the dark. Giant shapes, like ships, but not human, not alien. Something else. Reyna whispered, "We're not alone." And just as the signal stopped, a new voice entered the ship. This one was human. It said, "We are the last light. If you're hearing this, run," but it was too late. The stars were no longer stars, they were eyes, and they were looking straight at Earth. The crew of the Valiant watched in silence as the dark shapes moved through space. What they thought were stars were eyes, watching, waiting. Captain Reyna stood at the window, her face pale. "They're not just coming," she said softly. "They've already found us." The message they heard, the warning from another human voice, had been short, but it was clear. "We are the last light. Run." Dr. Kira worked quickly at her station. "I traced the signal. It came from another ship, not far from this. System, a human ship, old model, pre-war class. It shouldn't even be flying." Reyna gave the order. "We find that ship. If someone else is still alive out here, they might know more than we do." They turned the Valiant toward the source. Shadows were still moving inside their own ship. The lights flickered. The walls groaned. But the ship moved forward. As they flew, Milo's empty seat stayed untouched. No one talked about what had happened to him, or to Harris. They were gone. "Taken," Kira whispered. "They're not killing us. They're collecting us." After 3 hours, they found the ship. It was hidden in an asteroid field, its lights dim. The name painted on its side was old and worn, Sol's Refuge. They docked carefully. Reyna, Kira, and 2 others entered. Inside, it was cold and quiet, but the power was still on, just enough to run life support. Then a voice came over the speakers. "You brought them with you," the voice said. "You should never have come," Reyna answered. "We didn't mean to. We didn't understand," the voice replied. "No one ever does, until it's too late." A door opened and a man stepped out. He was older, tired, his face was covered in scars, but he still wore a captain's uniform. "My name is Captain Elias Thorne," he said. "This ship is all that's left of Earth's first contact with the dark." He sat with them in the control room and told the truth. "Over 200 years ago, we found the same signal. Back then, we thought it was just a broken alien transmission. We followed it, like you, and we found the prison. The place where it was kept." Kira listened carefully. "You mean the sphere?" Thorne nodded. "Yes, the thing you woke up. That was the lock. You opened it. Now it's free again." Reyna leaned forward. "What is it? A creature? A machine?" Thorne shook his head. "It's fear, raw fear, a being made from terror. It doesn't have a body. It doesn't need one. It spreads like a virus, through minds, through machines, through signals." He paused. "It touched Earth once, long ago. We stopped it. But we had to erase everything. The files, the ships, the history. That's why no one remembers." "But you survived?" Kira asked. "We stayed behind," Thorne said. "This ship has old tech, no network, no AI. That's why it can't get inside. But now that you've come, it knows where we are." Suddenly alarms went off. Outside the windows, the shadows had followed them. Small black shapes drifted through space. Silent. Cold. "They've come," Thorne said. "We have minutes." Reyna made a decision. "We have to warn Earth. We have to tell them what's coming." Kira tried to send a message through the ship's backup line, but the system failed. "It's jamming the signal," she said. "It doesn't want us to speak." Captain Thorne stood. "There's one way. We can use the beacon." Everyone turned to him. He explained, "The beacon is an old Earth relay system, a deep space emergency flare. If we light it, Earth will see it, but we only get one shot." Reyna nodded. "Then let's light it." They rushed to prepare the beacon, but time was running out. The Valiant's lights shut off one by one. The shadows were boarding. No weapons worked. The walls began to bleed black. As Reyna reached the beacon controls, something stood in front of her. It looked like Harris. He smiled. "Captain, he said in a calm voice. You don't need to fight, just feel, that's all we need. She stared at him frozen. His eyes were too dark, too deep. It wasn't Harris, but then… boom. Thorne tackled the shadow. He pushed it into the beacon core and shouted, "Now!" Reyna hit the switch. A massive light shot from the beacon, a pulse so bright it lit up the asteroid field. The shadows screamed. Some vanished, some twisted and broke. Back on the Valiant, the AI sparked to life. Signal sent. Destination Earth. Reyna grabbed Thorne's arm. "Come with us." He shook his head. "I'll hold them off. Go." She didn't want to leave him, but there was no time. They launched from Saul's refuge as it exploded behind them. The shadows chased them, but the beacon light slowed them down. For now, Reyna sat in the pilot seat breathing hard. "We did it," Kira said. Reyna looked out at the stars, now quiet again. "Yes," she said. "But now Earth knows. And they have to decide to hide." She looked at Kira, or to fight. The beacon light had reached Earth. In the heart of Earth's orbit, the massive defense station Atlas Prime woke up. Hidden for decades, it had been built in secret, for a threat no one believed would return. But now, the signal had come. Inside the station, General Elias Monroe stood before a wall of screens. His face was hard. His eyes were calm. He had seen war before, but nothing like this. He read the message from the Valiant. They are not ships. They are not alive. They are fear itself. They are coming. Monroe turned to his officers. "Get me the Council, wake the Black Fleets, and send a reply to the Valiant. Humanity hears, and humanity responds." Back aboard the Valiant, Captain Reyna and Dr. Kira received Earth's reply. Kira read it out loud. "Stand strong. You are not alone. Burn the sky if you must. Humanity remembers." Reyna smiled. "That's the Earth I know." The Valiant was heavily damaged but still moving. The shadows were following slowly now, waiting, watching. The crew had time to prepare, but not much. Back on Earth, the Council gathered in an underground base. Holograms of every nation, every fleet leader, every AI commander filled the room. They watched the footage from the Valiant, the shadows moving, the possessed crew, the black veins inside the ship. One council member asked, "How do we fight fear?" General Monroe answered simply, "We don't fight fear. We fight forward." And so, Earth unlocked Project Titan. Dozens of warships, each the size of cities, rose from their hidden docks on the Moon and Mars. Old weapons, long banned, were brought back online. Gravity cannons, solar spears, pulse mines, and at the center of it all, Project Godfire, a weapon powered by the sun itself. In space, humans moved fast. In days, they built a line of defense, satellites, drones, strike ships. The system was armed like never before. But then, the stars went dark. The shadows had arrived, thousands of them. They didn't come as ships. They came like waves, rolling through space like smoke, silent, cold, endless. The first wave hit Jupiter's outer defense ring. Drones exploded, stations vanished. One by one, Earth's satellites lost signal. General Monroe watched the screen. "They're testing us." Then, he gave the order, "Let's show them who we are." From Earth's orbit, the Atlas Prime fired its first blast. A beam of pure light cut through the dark, burning hundreds of shadows in one shot. On Mars, gravity cannons launched explosive cores. Saturn's moons lit up with flame as defense. Platforms activated. And in deep space, the human fleet charged forward. For the first time in the story, humanity wasn't running. It was attacking. The Valiant was pulled back to Earth's orbit. Reyna and Kira joined the fleet's command center. Kira looked at the screens. "We're not fighting alone anymore." Reyna nodded. "This is what they woke up. They asked for help. Now they'll see our fury." But the shadows changed. They adapted. The next wave moved faster. They shifted shape. Some took human form. Others disappeared from scanners. Earth's forces started losing ships. One AI reported, Fear. Energy is corrupting systems. Recommend purge. Monroe said no, send in the Rooks. The Rooks were humanity's elite soldiers, cyber-immune, mind-locked, fear-proof. Trained for war and darkness, they dropped into the shadow zones carrying flame blades and sound bombs. They didn't scream. They didn't run. They cleared. Space one corridor at a time. Back on Earth, cities watched the war in the sky. Civilians gathered to pray, to sing, to cheer. All knew the truth now. The enemy was fear. And fear had found the wrong species to challenge. At the front of the battle, Captain Reyna led a counterstrike with a fleet of modified ships. Kira had found a way to trace the source, the oldest shadow, the one that first escaped the prison. Reyna named it the Heart of Fear. She led her fleet into the dark toward the shadow core. As they entered the black cloud, voices filled the comms, whispers, screams, lies, regrets. The shadows tried to break them. But Reyna shouted into the radio, "We are human, we fight, we endure, we win." Her words lit a fire in every pilot, in every gunner, in every AI. And then they saw it, the center of the darkness, a shape like a black star, breathing, beating, alive. The Heart of Fear. Kira uploaded the virus, a sonic, code made from pure human emotion. Hope, rage, love, memory, it played into the heart. The shadow screamed, not in pain, but in confusion. It didn't understand. It didn't know how to fight back. It had never felt those things. And then, the Valiant fired the last shot, a solar beam straight into the heart. Everything went white. Then, silence. And finally, stars. Real ones. Reyna opened her eyes. The shadows were gone. For now. Earth was quiet. But everyone knew. This wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. Something bigger, something darker, and something worse. But one truth remained. They asked for help. What came was humanity's wrath. Months had passed since the shadows were defeated. Earth was safe. For now. The skies were clear. The stars looked normal again. But deep in space, something darker was moving. Silent. Hidden. Watching. Captain Reyna stood on the deck of the newly rebuilt Valiant 2. It was faster, stronger, smarter. But it wasn't just a ship anymore, it was the first of many. Dr. Kira joined her, holding a new report. Her face was serious. "It's not over," she said quietly. "We stopped the heart. Fear, but it wasn't the only one." Reyna nodded. "We felt it. That was just a piece. A scout." Kira placed the file on the table. The data came from deep probes far beyond the edge of human space. There was something else out there. Something huge. A black structure floating in the void. A shape too big to be natural. It looked like a door. Reyna read the last line of the report. Unknown signal detected 10,000 voices. Not human, not alien, not alive. Just waiting. Earth's leaders met once again. This time there was no debate. General Monroe stood at the head of the table. "We don't wait for fear to find us again. We take the war to them." And so began Project Horizon, humanity's first mission beyond known space. Beyond the stars, beyond fear. The plan was simple. Find the source. Close the door. Or destroy it. The Valiant 2 would lead the fleet. 5 Titan-class warships, 2,000 drones, 30,000 soldiers. And a weapon called Godfire Mech 2, stronger than the last, made from the heart of a star. Reyna was chosen to command the entire mission. Kira would lead the science team. Both knew the truth. They were not coming back. The fleet launched from a dark side of the moon. No lights, no press, only silence. As the fleet entered unknown space, things changed. Time felt slower. Light bent strangely. Comms crackled with echoes, their own voices returning, but wrong. One pilot said, "I heard my father's voice. He's been dead 10 years. Another whispered, "I saw myself outside the ship." Kira warned the crew. The space we're entering doesn't follow normal laws. It's shaped by thought, by fear. Stay focused. Stay human. Soon they reached the black structure. It was bigger than Earth's moon. A massive doorway, closed but humming with energy. Suddenly it began to open. From inside came not ships, but silence. A silence so deep, it felt like pressure, like drowning in nothing. And then, they came. Shadows. But bigger. Faster. More evolved. Not just fear, but hate, memory, hunger, a new breed. The fleet engaged. The sky became fire. The Valiant too led the charge, burning shadow after shadow. The soldiers fought bravely, boarding dark shapes, planting bombs, losing friends. Reyna never blinked. We came to end this. No turning back. Kira reached the control center of the black doorway. She found an ancient device still alive. Not human, not alien, something in between. It spoke with a voice like thunder. You opened the first lock. Now the others awaken. Kira shouted into her comm. There are more doors. Across the galaxy. This one is just a beacon, a warning. Reyna gave the final order. Destroy it, burn the stars if we have to. The Godfire Mecha 2 was activated. The beam launched, straight into the heart of the doorway. The shadows screamed. And for the first time, they bled light. The black doorway cracked, then shattered. The explosion lit up half the galaxy. The fleet was thrown back, ships spun, systems crashed. Then, silence again. Real silence. No shadows, no fear, only stars. Reyna floated in her chair, breathing slowly. Is it done? Kira answered, her voice calm. No, but they know now. We're not prey, we're not afraid. We're human. Back on Earth, the signal was received. A simple message. Mission complete. Door closed. More remain. But so, do we. Humanity had faced the unknown, and they had not bowed. They had not begged. They had stood tall. And when fear came calling again, humanity answered with wrath.